Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Dossi brand. So, in today's episode, I'll be giving a tutorial video on how I made this beautiful wrap gown. Stay tuned, guys. So, this is basically what we need to recreate this beautiful wrap gown, and this is the measurement that we need. Do all to take note of every bit of this creativity. So, the first thing I did was to fold my fabric into two. And here I was trying to get the measurement of my hip so I know the width of the fabric I need. Then I went ahead to cut it out. The fabric was very big, so I needed to start from this first side. I'm cutting the back first of all, so I just wanted it to be comfortable for me and easy for me to handle. So I went ahead to measure the length of the gown, which is 38, and I went ahead to cut it out and I started my measurement proper. So after doing that, the next thing I did was to mark the measurement, and I went ahead to mark out the bust point, which is 11. Since I'm cutting on my actual fabric, I decided to add half of an inch, that is 11.5. So I marked 11.5. I went ahead to measure my waist, which is 16.5. It's 16 actually, I added 5. Then the hip, which is 22.5. So I decided to roll out the line so it will be very clear to you. Don't mind the other line below it. Just take a close look on where I'm marking. I added half of an inch to every point because I'm cutting on the actual fabric. So take note of that. So I went ahead to draw out the line so it's very clear for you all to see it. And after doing that, I went ahead to take my neck measurement. I came in by 2.5 for the width of the neck. This is the back, don't forget. Then I went down with 1.5, that is 1.5 inches. It's the back and I don't need it to be very deep, so I made use of my curve rule to draw out my curve. So for the shoulder, my shoulder is 15, and I divided 7.5. I gave a mark there. Then I went ahead to measure half inch down. On a norm, I'm supposed to use 1 inch if I'm using a pattern paper, but since it's on the actual fabric, I decided to go in with half. Then I connected to the neckline. You can see what I'm actually doing. It's very easy to do. Remember, the shoulder is not straight, so this particular thing is very important. Then for the armhole, I came up from my bust points with 2 inches. It's what I always do. You can decide to divide your bust measurement and add 1.5, but for me, I just came up with 2 inches. So, and that was it. I tried to connect from the shoulder down to that particular point. So after connecting it, I had to connect to the extreme end to get my armhole. So at this point, I was just trying to make it very clear for you all to see it. Then this was me connecting to the extreme end. It's more like an L shape. So after doing that, I went ahead, I measured from the shoulder line down to that point. Then I was just trying to get the middle so I can trace out my armhole. So after marking the half of that length, I came in by half of an inch. I came in, see what I'm doing so you understand. So after then, I went ahead to measure my bust measurement, which is 40 divided by 4 gave me 10. So I gave a mark there. Then the next thing is for me to connect from the shoulder down to that point, then the bust point. So I made use of my curve rule. Please take note on how I place my curve rule. You need to know how to place it very well so you get the actual curve you need. Because if you place it wrongly, you get a wrong curve. And the curve is very important. So I made use of it and I got my curve. Though I was still using my hand, so it's very clear for you to see it because the chalk is not giving justice to what I wanted. So yeah, I'm going to take my measurements from the bust points. I divided my bust into 4. I got 10. Then I added 1.5 inches for sewing allowance, after which I came up, I also added 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. So the bust point and the chest line is the same thing. I went ahead to my waist. My waist is 34 divided into 4 gave me 8.5 plus 1.5, that's 10. So I gave the mark there. Then down to the hip, which is 40 divided by 4, 10 plus 1.5 inches, that's 11.5. So I quickly gave a mark there. and so all these points I've given, I will have to connect them to meet each other. So I made use of my rule. I connected from the chest line down to the bust point, but the rest of them I decided to use my freehand so I can get what I actually wanted. So I connected from the bust point down to the waist, then down to the hip. So this was how I connected it. Hey fam, if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you find the channel helpful, please do well to subscribe to the channel, like our videos, and also drop a comment at the comment section. Thank you very much. Returning subscribers, we really do appreciate. Thank you very much. So I was done with the measurement. I had to cut it out, and this was me cutting it out. I followed the white chalk that I drew there. So I went ahead, cut the neckline, then the shoulder line, and basically this was all for the back. So I had to keep it aside, and I started with the front. For the front, you have to take out 4 from the end of the fabric. I took out 4 inches and I drew a straight line. Depend on you. If you're very busty, you can take 4 or 5, but if you're small size 10 or 8, you can take 3. So me, I'm very busty, I took 4. So after taking that measurement, I had to place the back of the gown on top of this particular one. So I checked again, it was still 4, so I was actually correct. And the next thing I did was to roll that line, connect it from there, and that's the waistline. Take note, I connected it down to the front of the gown. So the next thing I did was to cut out the front neck. It's a wrap and it's like a v-neck. So from the shoulder line of the back, I gave a mark there. You can see the shock line there. So I will have to connect from that shoulder mark I gave down to the waist. You see what I'm doing? So I had to connect just a v neckline, just a slant line. That's what I did there. So you can see what I'm actually doing. Once you follow this procedure, you definitely get it and it will come out very well. So this was exactly what I did. I was trying to make sure it's showing very well. And then after that measurement, I went ahead to cut it out, and this was basically all you need to do for the front. It's a very easy gown, very easy to make. So guys, a quick reminder, in this channel we do DIY tutorial videos. We give reviews on different asoebi styles, and we also give inspiration for dresses. So there are lots of videos on this channel that you can watch and see a lot of styles that you can recreate, a lot of inspiration that you can decide to slay. So just stay tuned. So I was still cutting the excess fabric out, and I was just trying to make sure that everything is equal and it's coming out very well. So the next thing I did was to cut out the curve. Remember, it's not a straight down. I have to cut out the curve, but using my curve, it's not giving. I had to use my freehand to create what I really wanted. And even using my freehand, at the end, it was my scissors that gave me what I wanted. So this was me. I carried the scissors, I started cutting it, and the scissors actually brought in different curve from what I marked out. So I cut it out to the end, and that was how it was looking. I still cut again because I wasn't comfortable with that particular curve, so I had to curve it again to my satisfaction. So basically I was done cutting, and this is all for the front and for the back. Man, this shape is looking one kind, but that is how it is. So this is it, joining the both sides together. This is how it's going to look like. Honestly, this gown came out so beautiful and so fine. So I was done with that. I brought in the back of the cloth and I spread it on my table, and that's the good side facing up. So I placed one side of the gown. At this stage, I'm trying to join it from the right side, facing the right side, so I can join the shoulders. I just wanted to join the shoulders at this particular place. So I've gone ahead to pin the shoulder of the first side I placed. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to place the second side of the gown. So I was just arranging it to make sure everything was okay and perfect. So when I was done with that, I had to pin the other side so it won't get scattered, and I placed the other side of the gown. I placed it. After doing that, I pinned the shoulder, then I went straight up to my sewing machine to join the shoulder first of all. That's the first thing we'll be doing, with joining the shoulders. So I went ahead to join the shoulders after making sure that everything was correctly arranged. So after sewing it, this was how it was looking like. So I needed to arrange it. For this particular gown, you need to be very careful. You need to arrange consistently so you won't sew it wrongly and sew it to come out very well. So I was just trying to arrange it. That was why I took my time to show you guys details on how I arranged, and it came out really well. So I was done joining the shoulders. I have arranged it, and this was how it was looking like. So guys, the next thing I had to do was to set this aside. Went ahead, cut out the sleeve. The length of the sleeve is 18, so I just used 20 for sewing allowance. I added extra 2 inches. So I went ahead to measure it, and that's it. I already gave a mark. I was already cutting it before, so I came down by 4.5 inches, and for the side 4 inches. So I gave a mark there. I've actually made a tutorial video on how to cut sleeve, a long sleeve and a short sleeve, on my channel, so do want to watch that video so you understand what I'm doing. So at this point, I was trying to get the middle of that particular place, so I gave a point there after cutting it. So the next thing I did was to measure my round arm, and it's 13. So 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So I gave a mark there, and the next thing I did was to add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Remember, this sleeve is not going to be a straight sleeve. At the bottom, I'm going to put elastic. So just watch and see what I did here. So I had to connect from the top down to that point, and I connected to the down, and that was how I got the slant of my armhole. It's very easy to create. The sleeve is very easy to cut. Just do to watch the video on my channel and you understand what I'm doing here. I really don't have much time to explain it. Please do to watch it. Thank you very much. So I went ahead, cut it out, then I went down. I'm supposed to measure those side, but I did not because I'm going to add elastic to the down of the hand. So this was me. I was done cutting. Actually cut the first hand, so I wanted to cut the second one. So I actually did that, and I was done with the hand. So after cutting, I went ahead to give a notch there, and I brought out my gown. I placed the armhole on the table, and this is me. I'm trying to fixing the hand. So that's the armhole. I brought the hand and I placed it on top. From that notch I gave, I placed at the middle. Then I'm going to sew it down to the extreme end. And if you take note, it's exactly the same thing. So your hand need to tally with your armhole for you to get a better address, so it will not be too tight on you. So I'll do the same thing for the other side. So I went ahead to the sewing machine and sew it down. So this was how it was looking like after the elastic. Is going to look that way. So I've fixed the hand for the both side, and I'm trying to arrange it very well so we continue with the sewing. Guys, please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do also subscribe. Thank you. Like our videos. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell. Thanks. So for the edge of the hand, I'm going to give a 1-inch folding so the elastic can sit on it, and I'll run from the hand down to the end of the gown. This is what I'm showing you. Actually, this is the front. While sewing it, I'll turn it to the back. So I'm going to run from the hand down to the end of the gown. But first of all, I'm going to fold in by 1 inch at the hem of the hand. So yes, there's progress. I'm done stitching, and I gave a little space so the elastic can pass through. So guys, the process, this is it. This is how it's turning out to be. It's actually coming out well. At this stage, I've gone ahead to iron it. Man, this gown need ironing. So after ironing, I'll go ahead to fold the neck of the gown. So from that particular point, the waist where the V cutting started from, I'm going to give a inner folding through the other side. So this is basically what I was trying to explain. I'm done folding it. So this is how it's looking at. Like, I'm also gonna ahead to iron it out. So for the down part, I wanted a design like the picture you see from beginning how it looks like. So I'll just go ahead and cut out a fabric, a very long fabric. So I went ahead to cut out a fabric, then I just stitched the edge of it and folded it into two, and this is how I'm going to fold it on the fabric. This particular extra fabric is very long, so you need the long one so you can get what you actually want. So this is it. I've gone ahead to fix it and iron it, and it came out very well. I love it. I so much love it. So this is the outcome of what I explained to you guys. So after doing this, I went ahead to iron it again so it will be very straight, because this fabric is very stubborn. So this is me arranging and arranging and arranging. So guys, the next thing I actually did here was to fixing the elastic. So I just did that behind the scene, so I was done fixing it. So I had to open a little hole where the belt is going to pass through. So I had to loosen that particular place, just a side of the gown. So I loosed it, and that's where the belt is going to pass through. So I went ahead to cut the belt, and this time around I had lots of fabric, so I made use of my fabric. I actually used 3 yards of fabric to make this gown, and I had little yards remaining, not up to a yard anyway, but it was okay for me, and I had some remaining. So as we go on, I'll tell you the measurement I used for the width and the length. So I cut it out, and this was 3 inches for the width. I used 69 inches for the length. That's up to 2 yards, more than 2 yards. So I used 69 inches for the length. So after cutting it out, I went ahead to sew it with my sewing machine. I folded into two and I sewed it out. Then I was using my scissors to turn it. It's a very easy technique that I use almost all the time whenever I want to turn a fabric. So I've gone ahead to iron it, and I'm placing it on the gown. And this particular place, at the beginning of where my print started from, that was where I placed it for the both side. Then after doing this, I'm going to pass the bed through that hole I gave the other time. So basically, this is all you need to know about this gown. Guys, thank you very much for staying with the Dusty brand. Thank you very much for watching this video from beginning to end. Thank you very much for liking. Definitely you will like the video. So this is basically all you need to know about the creativity of this beautiful gown, and this is the outcome. It's so fine and beautiful. This is me rocking the gown. It's so beautiful. Thank you very much for staying with the Dusty brand. See you in our next video. Bye. We love you.